There's roller coasters that I love, that I hate, and that I just respect. I love some of these coasters I respect, but they don't really reach the level of love as others. Coasters that I love are either the best I've ridden, my personal favorites, or the most underrated coasters that I wish people talked about more. Coasters I hate can be because of the ride is torture, or just bad when I thought it would be good, or at least decent. And coasters I respect will be rides that don't focus on what I like the most in a coaster necessarily, but I respect them for what they do. I'll show you 8 coasters from every category, so let's start off with the coasters I love. Of course, I had to start off with my number one overall ride I've done, which is Velocicoaster. There's truly no other experience like this that I can think of. This ride is absolutely perfect. There's really nothing they could do to make this ride better. This ride was my number one coaster for a while. It's always been one of my personal favorites. Going to Cedar Point and riding this for the first time, not knowing that this coaster would change my life, it was a really special moment. It's a special coaster. It's currently my second favorite coaster. It's just so good, so much ejector airtime, and I definitely love it. This ride is extremely underrated. I love Wild Eagle. It has some of the best inversions I've experienced. They're just so fun for no reason. And the first drop may be my favorite of all time, Butterfly Overload. This ride gets lots of hate, and I thought it was mediocre after my first ride, but ever since I got off it for the second time ever, it's been awesome ever since. Banshee is my favorite invert I've ridden easily. After day 1 of Kings Island this past year, I had it in my top 10. Day 2 dropped it back to my 30s, which is weird how much it changed, but it really does have better than Fury potential, obviously. Since I had it over Fury for a little bit, it's the best sequence coaster I've ever ridden, and which is one of the great things about this ride. The inversions are just so unique feeling. That first drop in the back is intense. The inline twist is amazing, and I love every second of Banshee. I love Nessie way more than I expected to. The drops have insane butterflies. It's one of the best coasters for that. The inversions are awesome. I love that extremely long helix, and the setting makes it even better. What an awesome ride. That's my second favorite at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This may have been the biggest surprise of the year. I passed on this when I went in 2016 when I was GP. Actually, I don't know if I was allowed to ride it because I don't know if my parents allowed me to, but anyways, after I became an enthusiast, I looked at it in a bad way because everyone hates on it, and I was so surprised and happy when it ended up having many ejector airtime moments, at least in the back row. This could be a top 10 coaster if it was faster paced. I'm not even kidding. It does have a lot of slow spots. The positive is they create a lot of ejector drops, and this ride is pretty decently intense. I love Hollywood or Red Rocket. It's one of the most underrated rides out there. I had to put Hydra on my love list. Everyone who watches my channel should know how much I adore this ride. It's my favorite B&M floorless coaster I've ridden for sure. I love the uniqueness of the layout. The JoJo roll is incredible, and it's better than Copperhead Strikes, which is funny. That first drop is one of my favorites ever too. Crazy butterflies on that. I can see why people don't rank this as high as me, but I love this kind of ride. It's my favorite at Dorney Park. I've done 2 SNS 40 free spins, those being Batman the Ride at Six Flags Fiesta Texas and Joker at Six Flags Great Adventure. I like both of them pretty much the same. They're both wild. This model is hated on way too much, especially by Airtime Mike. They're some of the most fun and terrifying rides out there. You have to know to ride it the right way. If you do, you should have a fun time. If not, I can see why you don't like it. Now let's move to the next list, and we'll talk about the ones I absolutely hate. Here's a coaster that I do hate. This was actually recently ranked as the worst coaster I've ever ridden after re-riding Racer at Kings Island. The reason this is my least favorite is pretty much just because the final brakes absolutely murdered me. It knocked the wind out of me and I couldn't catch my breath for a while. It was miserable. I probably don't ever plan on riding it again unless it's there for my future kids to get the credit. This was my very first Batman the Ride clone, and I absolutely hated it when I rode it in February of 2020. The pain on my feet was excruciating, and was praying the ride would be over. I've never ridden a Batman clone to that point, so I wasn't aware just how long the ride felt, so I was just panicking, but after a while, it stopped, and the torture ended. This is the same thing, just very slightly better. I at least appreciated the first drop in this, and the pain was there just as much pretty much, but I don't remember freaking out on it because I expected it, and I also feel that I get better with the pain the more I ride coasters. I've ridden a third clone of it at Six Flags Great Adventure, and it was actually a really good ride. The top 30 invert coaster I've ridden. But the other two, I'm sure I'll ride them both again. I'm just not too excited to do it. I was really not a fan of Nighthawk. This was my second Flying Dutchman, having done Batwing just a few days prior. I really enjoyed Batwing, so it was a disappointment that Nighthawk gave zero intensity on the vertical loop. It was way rougher and just more uncomfortable. I don't absolutely despise the ride to the point I wouldn't ride it again, but it's way below average. Not really a fan at all. This ride is a thigh crusher, which I didn't expect. The crest of the ride just brutally chopped my legs off, it felt like. I didn't hear anything about that, so I was shocked and not in a good way. The first part is nice and intense, but the rest of the ride ruins it, because I wanted the ride to end as soon as my thighs got crushed. This was absolutely terrible, my first ride. It numbed my legs so hard, which was bad, and the layout didn't excite me too much. My second ride was more bearable. I still didn't love the ride, but I was able to enjoy the layout at least. This coaster definitely isn't towards the top of my must get back on coasters at Great Adventure, but I'll do it again sometime. I still remember that brutal first ride though, and it's bad. Not that the second ride wasn't bad, but it didn't compare to the first. Here's another stand-up coaster. This one was funny to me. I had a wasp right in front of me the whole lift tail, and was just hoping it stayed there. And even though this ride isn't the tallest, the lift tail still takes forever. It did fly away on the first drop, and after that, I was treated to a few boring elements and then the brake run. What a thrilling ride. I just thought this ride is so pointless, so I put something else there. The only thing this does is boost people's credit count, so just put a new coaster there. The last one I have on the hate list is Racer at Kings Island. This didn't go up in my rankings after a re-ride as much as most people would have liked to see. It was much better, much smoother, until that jolt towards the end. People say it's ejector, I say it hurts really bad, it crushes me, and it's not fun at all. The rest of it is fine, but it's just fine. I still don't like the ride and really don't need to ride it when I get back to Kings Island. Finally, let's switch to the coasters I respect. I-305 is by far the most intense roller coaster I've ever ridden. It's a sustained blackout. It has some good airtime moments, and it was my 200th coaster. All good reasons to respect it. I do love this ride, but I don't rank it as high as lots of enthusiasts out there because ultra intensity isn't the thing I go into a coaster hoping for the most. I knew it would have it though, and I knew I'd respect it. I absolutely do. It currently ranks as my number 9 coaster, not as high as other people, but it's truly a world-class ride. Another highly regarded Intamin was my 100th coaster, so we have back-to-back milestones. It has the airtime, it has the intensity, it has the insanity. I appreciate all of that. What I don't is the restraints. I can see why people would rank this ride towards the top, but it's just not for me personally. It's also very short. The first drop isn't overrated as far as how crazy that is, and that's absolutely the craziest element I've ever experienced. It's just not the most fun because of how crazy it is. That's just me though. It's my 26th favorite coaster at the moment. I do enjoy it, but maybe switch to the new gen Intamin restraints, or even over the shoulder restraints so it doesn't break my back. I know saying that won't make a lot of people happy. Every stand-up coaster I've ridden is in this video, but this is on the other side of the spectrum as the other two I've ridden. It had some great airtime moments, a great first drop, and it really passed expectations. It didn't numb my legs too much, and I definitely appreciated that. This ride felt almost out of control, which I was shocked for a stand-up coaster. I probably rank it around where other people do, if not higher, but I think this ride deserves to be respected, and hope it sticks around for a while. I'm not the biggest GCI fan out there, but if you love small pops of airtime and rapid turns, then it's definitely for you. I do like them, but not as much as some other people out there, and that's pretty much how this ride is. I like it, but not as much as other rides out there, and not as much as other people. It ranks in my 30s, it's so much fun, it's paced so well, it's out of control, and I actually like the shed. I do respect this ride, it's very good, and much better than it was in 2020. So now we have Batwing. It's not as painful as Nighthawk. It's the much better version, and the vertical loop has insane forces, unlike on Nighthawk. I didn't know if I would like this ride or not, but it turns out I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great ride. Some people think it's better than Superman Ride of Steel, which is interesting. I don't think so, but it's the second best ride in the park, and I really enjoyed this coaster. It's very respectable. When I went to Universal back in 2016, Hulk was closed for the year. I was thrilled to get on it finally in 2021. However, honestly, I thought this will be a lot more fun. It is the top 3 most intense coaster I've ridden, but that's just not my type of ride. It doesn't have many redeeming factors like the others do. I do like the launch and setting though. This ride wasn't bad, but I didn't love it either. I do respect the intensity though, and I can't wait to get back on it next month. Hopefully, more than once this time. Here's the other B&M sit-down in Florida. I respect both of these rides. It's debated frequently which one is better, and I expected Hulk to be better, but I actually found Kumba to be much better. That hell roll was insane. Night rides were insane, and it was a good amount of intense. If intensity is your number one thing in a coaster, then you'll probably prefer Hulk. I remember when Kumba was literally everyone's favorite coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa back in 2018. I think it still should be, even though it's not my personal favorite of the park. I really enjoyed the ride. I rank it lower than a lot of people, but higher than some others. Either way though, I respect this ride a lot. The last coaster on the respect list is Viper at my home park, Darien Lake. I've ridden this more than any other coaster out there besides Ride of Steel in the same park. I respect this ride so much just because it's the first big ride I ever remember hearing about. This is the thing that was hyped up when I was really little, and I finally am riding it many times a year as an enthusiast. As far as the ride itself goes, I love the first drop in the back row. It has insane ejector airtime, and after that, the ride is good, but nothing insane. The first drop is really what I look forward to. This is one of the best aero loopers though, with great inversions. If you look forward to the inversions the most, then you definitely like this ride more than me. It's a good ride, but nothing special. I just really respect it and hope it stays around for a lot longer. That's going to wrap up the good, the bad, and respected coasters I've ridden. I hope you liked the idea. Let me know some of yours in the comment section. Which coaster you respect, love, and hate. I would deeply appreciate it. So that's all. Please share the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.